She rejected my proposal with, "I'm seeing someone else," in front of my family. So I walked out and never looked back. Now she's a viral meme, and he dumped her for being cruel. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. The aroma of garlic and fresh basil hung heavy in the air, mingling with the soft clinking of cutlery and the low murmur of happy conversation. I looked around the private dining room of Giovanni's, a cozy Italian place my mom adored. My parents, David and Susan, sat beaming at the head of the table, their hands clasped over a celebratory bottle of Chianti. 30 years. 30 years since they'd stood at an altar, two kids with dreams and a whole lot of love. Today wasn't just my brother, Mark, was across from me, teasing his wife, Sarah, about her terrible Italian accent. My Aunt Carol and Uncle Rick were deep in discussion about their latest cruise. Cousin Alex, glued to his phone as always, occasionally chuckled at something he saw online, but even he looked up to join in the laughter when my dad told a particularly corny joke. This was my family. Loud, loving, fiercely loyal. And tonight, I was hoping to make Jenna a permanent part of it. Jenna. She sat beside me, looking stunning in a sapphire blue dress, her blonde hair shimmering under the warm lights. She had a knack for charming everyone, and tonight was no exception. She'd spent the early part of the evening regaling my parents with tales from her marketing job, making them laugh with self-deprecating humor about client demands. I caught my mom's eye, and she gave me a subtle, approving nod. My heart swelled. This was it. This was the moment. We'd been together for 5 years. 5 years of first dates, shared apartments, quiet movie nights, and big dreams. I remembered the first time I brought her to meet my family. She'd been nervous, but within minutes, she had them wrapped around her finger, cracking jokes with my dad and discussing art with my mom. She just fit. Or so I thought. We'd talked about marriage, vaguely, a future that always included us. I'd put off proposing for a while, wanting to be completely sure, wanting the timing to be perfect. With Mom and Dad's milestone, tonight felt like fate. A new beginning, built on a bedrock of enduring love. In my pocket, nestled in a velvet box, was my grandmother's engagement ring. A simple gold band with a single, elegant diamond. It had been passed down through generations, a symbol of enduring love in my family. I imagined it on Jenna's finger, sparkling, a promise. My thumb traced the edge of the box, feeling the slight weight of it. My hands were already trembling, a mix of nerves and overwhelming excitement. This was going to be one of the best nights of our lives. My life. Our life. Dinner wound down, plates cleared, and dessert menus were offered. I caught Mark's eye. He knew what was coming. He gave me a quick, encouraging wink. It was now or never. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the frantic beating of my heart. I pushed back my chair, drawing everyone's attention. A hush fell over the table. My mom looked at me, her eyes filled with a mother's intuition. Jenna, however, seemed to barely notice, still scrolling idly on her phone beneath the table, her typical detached air. I cleared my throat, the sound ridiculously loud in the sudden silence. Everyone. I began, my voice a little shaky but firm. I just want to say a few words. Tonight is incredibly special. 30 years, Mom and Dad. That's an amazing legacy of love and commitment. And Mom, happy 60th. You both showed me what true partnership looks like. I looked at my parents, who were beaming, my mom already tearing up. Then I turned to Jenna, making eye contact. Her eyes were wide, suddenly aware of the spotlight. I saw a flicker of something in them. Not excitement, but perhaps annoyance? I pushed the thought away. Nerves, probably. Jenna. I continued, my voice gaining strength, infused with all the love and hope I felt. For 5 years, you've been an incredible part of my life. You've challenged me. You've made me laugh. You've made me see the world differently. You've charmed my family and stood by me through thick and thin. You are my best friend, my confidant, and the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. I knelt, feeling the hard floor beneath my knee. The room held its breath. Family members around the table pulled out their phones, ready to capture the moment. Cousin Alex, for once, had his phone pointed at us, not just at a screen. I opened the velvet box, revealing the shimmering diamond. Jenna, I said, looking up at her, my heart pounding against my ribs. Will you make me the happiest man in the world? Will you marry me? A collective gasp went through the room. My mom's hand flew to her mouth. My dad's eyes glistened. But Jenna didn't gasp. She didn't smile, or even look surprised. She looked put out, annoyed. She let out a loud, theatrical sigh, a sound of profound inconvenience. Her eyes rolled slightly, almost imperceptibly, before she even spoke. Oh, Liam. God, this is so awkward. Get up. You're making a scene. My blood ran cold. I stayed on my knee, the ring box still open. Confused. My mom, her face paling, whispered, Jenna, dear. Jenna ignored her. She leaned forward slightly, her voice cutting through the stunned silence, loud and clear. No, I can't. Look, I didn't want to do it this way, but you forced my hand. I'm seeing someone else. His name is Marco. We've been together for 6 months. The words hit me like a physical blow. 6 months. Half a year. While I was planning this night, while I was saving for her future, she was seeing someone else. 6 months of lies, of fake smiles, of pretending to care. My vision blurred. Around the table, forks clattered onto plates. The happy chatter was replaced by a collective, horrified silence. The beaming smiles on my family's faces froze, then shattered into expressions of shock and disgust. Cousin Alex, still holding his phone, had a look of pure, incandescent fury on his face. The only sound now was the furious pounding in my ears. The silence in the room was a physical thing, a heavy blanket that smothered all sound, all air. For a long second, I remained on one knee, the ring box still open in my hand, the diamond mocking me with its indifferent sparkle. My brain struggled to process the words, to fit them into any kind of reality I understood. I'm seeing someone else. Marco. 6 months. 6 months. The number echoed in the sudden, silent void of my mind. 6 months ago was April. I remembered April. I'd helped her file her taxes. I'd taken her to the mountains for a weekend getaway because she said she was creatively blocked. I'd held her when she cried after a fight with her boss. 6 months of my life, my love, my unwavering support, had been a lie. I wasn't her partner. I was her alibi. Her convenient, bill-paying fool. The initial shock, that white-hot flash of disbelief, receded, replaced by something colder and heavier. It was a strange, chilling clarity. Every late night she'd spent at the office, every time she'd angled her phone away from me, every vague answer and moment of emotional distance, it all snapped into focus. The puzzle I had been trying to solve for months was never missing a piece. It was a different puzzle altogether, and I hadn't even been allowed to see the box. I looked up at her. Jenna's face wasn't apologetic or sad. There was a flicker of something triumphant in her eyes, a smug little smirk playing on her lips. She had done it. She had dropped her bomb and was reveling in the destruction. She wanted a scene. She wanted drama. She wanted power. And in that instant, I knew I wouldn't give her any of it. My body moved before my mind fully caught up. I rose slowly, my joints feeling stiff and ancient. My gaze fell from her face to the ring in my hand. With a quiet, deliberate motion, I snapped the velvet box shut. The click was sharp and final, cutting through the thick silence like a gunshot. It was the sound of a door closing forever. I looked directly at her, my expression a blank mask. I didn't feel rage or the need to scream. I felt nothing. A profound, hollow emptiness where 5 years of my life used to be. I see, I said, my voice unervingly calm, devoid of any emotion. It didn't even sound like my own. Thank you for your honesty. I didn't wait for her reply. I turned my head to my parents. My mom was openly weeping now, silent tears streaming down her face. My dad's expression was thunderous, his hands clenched into fists on the tablecloth. I had brought this humiliation to their celebration. That was the only thing that managed to pierce through the numbness. Mom, Dad, I said, my voice softening just a fraction. I'm so sorry I ruined your anniversary. My dad started to say something, to rise from his chair, but I gave a small shake of my head. I placed my cloth napkin neatly on the table beside my untouched plate of tiramisu. Then, I turned and walked away. I didn't run. I didn't storm out. My steps were measured and even. I walked past the other tables in the main dining room, past the curious glances of strangers, and straight towards the heavy wooden door at the front of the restaurant. As I passed our table, I caught a glimpse of my cousin Alex. He was still holding his phone up, but he wasn't looking at the screen. He was looking at me, and his face was a mask of cold, controlled fury. He knew. They all knew. I pushed the door open and stepped out into the cool October night. The air felt clean, sharp. I took a deep breath, and then another. I didn't look back. I just kept walking down the street, away from the warm lights of the restaurant, into the quiet darkness. I had no destination in mind. I just knew I could never go back. I ended up at my brother Mark's apartment. I didn't even remember the drive over. He opened the door, took one look at my ashen face, and simply pulled me into a hug. There were no questions, no platitudes. He just led me to the couch, put a glass of whiskey in my hand, and let the silence sit. I spent the next 2 days in a fog, moving between his couch and the guest room, feeling like a ghost haunting someone else's life. My first act of self-preservation was surgical. I took out my phone and, with numb fingers, blocked Jenna's number. Then I went through every social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, all of it, and blocked her profile. No angry final texts, no dramatic unfollowing. Just a quiet, digital erasure. She was a tumor, and I was cutting her out. My family sent a flurry of worried texts, which I answered with a single, copied and pasted message. I'm okay. Safe at Mark's. Just need some time. Please don't contact her. It was a simple boundary, the first I'd built in years. On the third morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing incessantly on the nightstand. It wasn't Jenna. It was everyone else. Dozens of notifications, texts from friends I hadn't spoken to in months, missed calls. A text from Mark, who was in the other room, simply said, "Check the internet." Alex did a thing. With a sense of dread, I opened my browser. It wasn't hard to find. A video, uploaded to YouTube, Reddit, and Twitter, was already rocketing into virality. The title was simple and brutal. My cousin's girlfriend of 5 years rejects his proposal by revealing her affair in front of our family. Alex had edited it brilliantly. It started with the end of my heartfelt speech, my voice filled with hope and love. It showed the room filled with my family's smiling faces. It showed me on one knee, the ring held out like an offering. And then it captured Jenna's performance in crystal clear high definition. Her condescending sigh, the bored, cruel look in her eyes. Her words, sharp and clear thanks to the restaurant's acoustics. Get up. You're making a scene. I'm seeing someone else. His name is Marco. We've been together for 6 months. The video didn't show the aftermath. It ended on a freeze frame of my face, a mask of stunned heartbreak, as I slowly rose to my feet. It was devastating. And it was perfect. The internet did what the internet does. It passed judgment, swiftly and without mercy. Hashtag Team Liam was trending. Jenna was universally condemned. They nicknamed her the Proposal Wrecker and Giovanni's Jezebel. Memes appeared almost instantly, her smug face photoshopped onto movie villain posters. My heartbroken expression captioned with the moment he realized his girlfriend was a subscription service. The fallout for her was catastrophic. Amateur sleuths found her social media profiles before she could make them private. They found her marketing job. They found Marco. And Marco, it turned out, was not prepared for this kind of attention. He was a self-styled brand consultant whose entire online persona was a carefully curated fantasy of luxury travel, motivational quotes, and staged photo shoots. Being publicly outed as a homewrecker who was complicit in such a cruel act was a direct hit to his precious brand. His response was immediate and ruthless. He posted a public statement claiming he was profoundly misled by a deeply unstable woman. He claimed Jenna had told him she was in an open relationship and that he had no idea about the proposal. He painted himself as another victim of her manipulation. Then, according to a mutual friend who couldn't resist sending me the gossip, he called Jenna and dumped her in a tirade of panicked rage, screaming that she had ruined his image before blocking her on everything. He discarded her as easily and as cruelly as she had discarded me. The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. 6 months passed. 6 months of therapy, of quiet rebuilding, of learning to sleep through the night again. I'd moved into a new apartment, a bright, airy loft downtown that was entirely mine. I poured all my fractured energy into my work, leading a design project for a new city museum that was earning rave reviews. I was healing. The wound was still there, a tender spot in my chest, but it no longer ached with every breath. It was becoming a scar, a quiet reminder of a battle I had survived. And then, the messages started. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Liam, I know you hate me. I deserve it. But that video destroyed my life. I lost my job. Marco left me. My landlord is evicting me. Please, can we just talk? This isn't fair. I stared at the message, feeling a cold detachment. This isn't fair. The sheer audacity of it. She still didn't get it. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry for the consequences she was facing. I saw the blame shifting, the pathetic plea for pity. I deleted the text and blocked the number without a second thought. A week later, my phone rang. It was Jenna's sister, Michelle. I hesitated, then answered, putting the phone on speaker. Liam, you need to talk to her, Michelle said, her voice tight with frustration. She's a complete wreck. She can't leave the house. You may have moved on, but she's paying a heavy price. Your cousin ruined her life by posting that. The blame again. Never directed at the person who actually committed the betrayal. Michelle, I replied, my voice calm and even. My cousin posted a video of what Jenna did. It was the truth. Her consequences are her own. Please don't contact me about this again. I hung up before she could argue. The boundary held. The final attempt from that period was the most revealing. It came a week after the call with her sister. I was leaving work when I saw a missed call from another unknown number, followed by a voicemail notification. I listened to it in my car. It was Jenna. The pleading victim was gone, replaced by a raw, snarling bitterness. Fine. Ignore me. Be a coward. Her voice shrieked, distorted by rage. You think you're so perfect? You and your perfect little family. You did this to me. You planned that proposal to trap me, and when it didn't work, you set your family on me to ruin my life. I hate you. I hate you. I listened to the message twice. There it was. The real Jenna. Not the charming woman I thought I knew, but a venomous, narcissistic creature who saw betrayal not as her own failing, but as a conspiracy against her. In that moment, any lingering trace of nostalgia or sadness I had for the woman I thought I loved evaporated completely. All that was left was the cold, hard relief of a man who had escaped a burning building just in time. I deleted the voicemail. The last tether was cut. My silence, it turned out, was the one thing she couldn't control, and it was driving her insane. A full year had passed since the night at Giovanni's. It was a year of deliberate reconstruction, of laying a new foundation for my life, brick by painful brick. Tonight was a celebration of that new structure. I was at the annual City Architectural Guild Awards, held in the grand ballroom of a downtown hotel. The air was electric with ambition and success, filled with the sound of clinking champagne flutes and confident laughter. My firm had won the Project of the Year award for the museum I had poured my soul into, and I was the lead architect. Dressed in a tailored tuxedo that felt less like a costume and more like armor, I felt a sense of calm I hadn't known in years. I was surrounded by my colleagues, people who respected my work and had supported me through the quiet, difficult months. I was happy, genuinely, peacefully happy. I had just stepped off the stage, the heavy glass award cool in my hand, my colleagues slapping me on the back when I saw her. She was standing near the edge of the room, a world away from the vibrant center where I stood. She was a +1, clinging to the arm of some guy I vaguely recognized from a rival firm. She looked diminished. The vibrant, center of attention energy she used to radiate was gone, replaced by a worn, tired anxiety. Her eyes, wide and hungry, were locked on me. She watched as people shook my hand, as my boss raised a glass to me. She was watching a life that was supposed to have been hers. Later, I went to the bar to get a glass of water, wanting a moment to myself. It was then that she made her move, detaching herself from her date and cornering me with a desperate determination. Liam, she said, her voice a nervous whisper. Wow, you look incredible. I saw you up there. I'm so proud of you. Her praise felt like a foreign currency I no longer accepted. Thank you, Jenna, I replied, my tone polite, professional, and utterly detached. It was the voice I used with difficult contractors. Listen, she began, twisting a napkin in her hands. I know my last message was insane. I was in a dark place. The person who said those things, who did what I did, that wasn't me. I've been in therapy. I've changed. I see what I threw away. I took a slow sip of water, meeting her pleading gaze without flinching. I'm glad you're getting help. Her eyes lit up with a pathetic flicker of hope, misinterpreting my civility for opportunity. I am. And I need to know. Is there any part of you that misses what we had? This was it. The final, desperate question from a ghost of my past. I put my glass down on the bar and turned to face her fully, not with anger, but with the calm, unshakable certainty of a man who knew his own worth. I miss the person I thought you were, I said, my voice even and clear. But I've come to realize that person never actually existed. The person you really are, the one who could look me in the eye and say those words in front of my mother on her birthday, is someone I have no desire to know. Tears welled in her eyes. But people make mistakes. I made a horrible mistake. That wasn't a mistake, Jenna. I corrected her, my voice unwavering. It was a choice. A 6-month-long choice you made every single day. You chose to lie, to deceive me, to humiliate me in the most public way imaginable. But in the end, you taught me a valuable lesson. What lesson? She whispered, her voice cracking. You taught me to never, ever let anyone have that kind of power over my happiness again. You taught me that my peace is the most valuable thing I own. I've built a great life since that night, a life that is peaceful and fulfilling, and I will not be letting you back in to disrupt it. Goodbye, Jenna. I didn't wait for her to respond. There was nothing more to say. I picked up my award from the bar, gave her a final, dismissive nod, and turned my back on her for the last time. I walked back towards the warmth and light of my colleagues, who greeted me with smiles and raised glasses. My boss threw an arm around my shoulder, pulling me back into a conversation about our next project. The laughter was real, the camaraderie was genuine, and the future was bright. I was home. I didn't look back, but I could feel her presence behind me, a small, cold spot in a room full of warmth. The final image I have of her is not one I saw with my eyes, but one I pictured with perfect clarity. Jenna, standing alone in a borrowed dress at a party where she knew no one. A ghost watching a life she had willfully, cruelly thrown away. She was an irrelevant spectator to my success, a footnote in a story that was now, finally, all my own. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.